Welcome to the Noodle Podcast. We are Kate and Max and we love noodling on what we've learned by accident. This podcast is a space where we share how we get the best out of ourselves and the people we've worked with. In today's episode we talk about who's on your crew, who or what keeps you motivated when you're stuck, and what do you bring to others that makes your connections light up.
All right, so welcome back to The Accidental Manager by Noodle. Today we are going to talk about
Cake and coffee.
Cake and coffee, which are a recurring theme every day, and every project that we work on, we'd have to talk about what's going to keep us going, particularly if we're feeling our energy is a little bit low. That's interesting, because It has been for us, hasn't it?
Yes. Having just inhaled a nice slice of parsnip and apple cake.
Delicious, thank you.
Pleasure. Get ready for another slice later, maybe.
If we have earned it.
Yes.
That's a challenge. Also, very, very nice coffee, thank you. From your new cafetiere.
Yes.
Which is bringing you joy.
Deep joy. So I think that's the important thing, isn't it? We're talking today about what supports you, what helps keep you up, energised, focused. Connected, yeah, feeling good. And I suppose recognising when you're not feeling like that and that you need that pep, that something to zip you up, or someone.
Yes.
So talking of someone, what about thinking about who we are involved with, who's around us? You have a view on this, don't you?
Yes, yeah. I love working with people to help them think about who is in your crew, who's in your network. Mm-hmm. And there are certain roles that if you don't have them, you're going to need them. Okay. For example, someone who champions you. Who is your champion? Who is your equivalent of a virtual cheerleader going, yay, with the pom-poms and everything, and just thinks you're amazing, whatever you do? For a lot of people, it might be their mum, or it might be their dog, just someone or something that just is loving you unconditionally. Doesn't have to be work related, but somewhere in your life, you need a champion.
Yes.
A champion is good, but they can't necessarily help you do everything. Okay. So having a coach, somebody who will push you to go a little bit further than you think you can, like a physical trainer would do. Yeah. But in terms of career or anything else, where you might be keeping yourself small for all sorts of reasons, but someone can say to you, do you know what? I think you'd be great at this over here. Come on, give it a go. So having a coach, that person who supports you and maybe pushes you further, is really important to have in your network as well.
So who else in your crew? Who else do you need?
I think a connector, and you are super good at this. So somebody who can go, oh, do you know who would be good at... You know who you should talk to? And you find those people everywhere. You look for the connections, don't you?
I do.
People like me who don't think to do that benefit from having people like you go. And I've got another friend who does that really, really well. And in fact, she's got 3 marriages to her name. Not 3 marriages that she's had. But she puts people, she goes, do you know what? I think you'd get on really well with someone else that I know. And yeah, she's super good at that. So a connector, a champion, a coach. Who else? Who else would you have on your crew?
Oh, crikey. I think somebody who helps you think differently. Yeah. So somebody who allows you to explore different things. It's sort of almost like a sort of catalytical conversation. You know, I can think of friends I've got in my network that going out for coffee or having breakfast with them is something that just, I never know what the conversation's going to be about. And yet I come away from it absolutely fired up, excited, and just enthused from the joy of the conversation, really. And you've got to have that, haven't you? You've got to have that.
Yeah. And that ripple effect, because you get that and then you pass it on, is really helpful. So often the trick is just to notice when you're flagging. There might be some really good reasons why you're just not able to keep yourself motivated day after day. Whatever you're working on, maybe it's not quite right. Maybe your energy levels are low for all sorts of reasons. But maybe it's just you haven't had fun lately, or someone to just be a bit, light and silly. When I know that that's happening, when I'm working really, really hard, close to burnout maybe, I have to pull myself back and go, do you know what? I just need a silly conversation. Who's in my crew that I can just pick up with and have a bit of a nonsense time with?
I think that laughing, you're right.
Yeah.
Needing that.
So it's good just to note, who have you got? And if everything feels very difficult and stuck right now, who are you spending the most time with? And you can't necessarily change their energy, but you can dilute their impact. If everybody else around you is finding everything difficult, or they're coming to you with their problems over and over again, maybe you need to find ways to find those, fun, light, supportive connections, conversations, the equivalent of coffee and cake.
So what you're also reminding me is that if we flip that and say, and are we that to somebody else? So how do we make sure that when we're interacting with others, one of my favourite quotes, the Maya Angelou one, I never quite get it right, but people won't remember what you say or remember what you do. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
So that sense of, okay, in every interaction that you're having, are you turning up? You don't always have to turn up the ray of sunshine, skibbity hoppity, but you do have to think about, okay, but what's the impression that you want to create? What's the mood? What's the takeaway for the other person, which is actually, I really enjoyed talking to Kate today, or I'm looking forward to talking to Kate today.
Yes.
So that sense, and I think I honed that skill again back to the exciting days of customer complaint handling and having to go and talk to senior people about how many complaints were in their business, how much it had cost their business, how much they hadn't fixed it yet. And obviously, so you can imagine I was somebody they were very excited to, Max is coming to tell me doom, gloom. So I learned quite early on how to separate me from the conversation, the message.
Yes.
So I can still go in and talk about difficult stuff, and I can still have a relationship with you that means that we can still enjoy, have a good interaction, and then talk about that.
Didn't you say you had a strategy for one particular person that you needed to go and talk to about something difficult?
Yes.
And you intentionally were the person that they would look forward to talking to.
Yep, senior executive, very much beginning of that conversation or beginning of that relationship, realising how difficult it was and working my way. Kate was involved, as always, is turning up with Kate, turning up with something that makes them want to have a conversation with you, because you can't be horrible to someone who's turned up with cake or a treat of some sort. And that became a repeating pattern for that relationship, but also future ones, where I would think, okay, this senior person's really busy. They're running back to back with meetings, and I still do this now. I know we still do this now with our clients, is turning up and saying, okay, so where might they be at in their day? What might be helpful? Is it, I remember taking a Diet Coke to somebody who would always be on the run, and it would mean I could grab 10 minutes off them by being, can a Coke? And while they're really grateful to me for providing them with the cold can of Coke, I get the 10 minutes that I need, which is, can I just grab you here? That sort of thing. So that really thinking.
Yes. I think if I was that person, I'd know what you were doing, but I'd still want to do it. And again, it's that sort of lightness that you can bring by what is it I'm showing up as or for. There's neuroscience behind this, isn't there? That if you give to somebody, don't necessarily expect to get something back. But even, it's crazy, isn't it? But just smiling at someone or genuinely being interested in what's going on for them. You don't even have to know them particularly well, but doing that bit of connecting outwards makes you feel better. You don't have to get anything else from the conversation, but just the act of doing it makes you feel good.
I'm laughing because it's one of those things that drives you nuts about me sometimes when we're out, which is the random conversations with people we don't know.
It takes so long to get anywhere with you, Max.
But that thing about just talking to someone and saying something nice about the way they're looking, or just...
You do that. We'll be in a queue and you'll be like, oh, nice shoes for the person in front of you. Then you'll get onto a conversation. Then you'll realise that you know somebody in common, and then we'll end up doing some work with them.
Connecting, networking. Everyone wants to know somebody. And, so I think the important thing here is about relationships, isn't it? And about being authentic, but being curious and interested in other people.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff that makes things work well, for sure.
Is. What else works for you? Not just the people in your crew, but what else works for you when you know you're feeling a bit, I'm stuck, I'm just stuck with this thing, I need something else, there's something missing from my day or my week. What do you know that you turn to apart from cake and coffee?
Apart from cake and coffee, I go for a run, actually. Not always feeling it when I go for the run, but putting my shoes on. I think we had a conversation a couple of weeks back where I was moaning to you. Yes, I was moaning about my day. I hadn't done this, and you just said, well, why don't you just go now? Oh, I could just go now. So yeah, you being that person that nudged me. But getting out and running and just the different perspective, moving your body. I know there's lots of stuff out there about that at the moment, but it does make a difference. And I've heard you say the same thing to me when you start the day in a certain way. So what works for you?
Yeah, getting outdoors, or sometimes just moving away from the space. So making sure my environment, which is tricky when we're in lockdown situation, which we are at the moment. But yeah, I'll go, and this sounds so pathetic, but I do just like to go and hang out with the cat. When you have that kind of cat conversation, it just shifts your perspective. It shifts everything. Everything seems a lot easier. Or if you take on the qualities of your cat, I'm just not even going to bother with that. Why would I? There's no treats in it for me. And it just, I want you to be more cat. Be more cat. Get outdoors. Yeah. Cake and coffee works. I don't think I said to you, why don't you go for a run now? I think what I said to you was, what do you need?
Yes, I think you did.
And I think that's what I wake up with in the morning, because I always have an intention of do some yoga or go for a 5K run or blah, 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 these good intentions. If it's dark and cold outside, I just don't want to. And so instead of beating myself up about it, I will ask myself the question, what do you need? Sometimes it's I need more sleep. And then I don't feel like I'm being lazy. I've really taken time just to check in. What do I need? Or it might be, I need to set up a call or something with someone who's going to help me, or who I've not spoken to for ages. How's that going to? I'll do that when I'm at my desk first thing. So, what do you need? I think is the key
you're right.
question.
You did ask that. It's just that obviously loudly in my head. Get outside.
I know.
So when we're working with other people, one of the things that we like to do is to create the right atmosphere and to have a good start to a conversation. And we know that starting the conversation with the work list doesn't work. Today we've got to get on with this. And it's how do you create the conditions that make sure that when people arrive, they feel welcomed, they feel they want to participate. And so cake and coffee has become part of when we're working with our extended crew to make sure that we start in the right way. Even if the cake is for later as a reward for the work we're going to do today, there's that sense that we are caring for one another. We've put some thought in, not just to the shopping list of things that need to get done.
You're much better than I am at that. So you remember what's important to people. I have to literally make a list. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't know if it's just my memory is terrible, but remembering what are the children's names? Or I used to work with someone who was really good at remembering everyone's favourite sport and team, and I'm no good at that. So it has to be something that feels like it's authentic. You're genuinely asking, how's that? Oh, you said you were going to be doing that last time we spoke. How did that go? Yes. But I do have to make a little note for myself about that, just because I think you've got so much going on in your life. Yeah. But that showing that you are making the effort even to find out what's going on for them first. I genuinely do just want to get on with the work.
I know you do. I know that look. But as long as the cake is there, and you do make some amazing cakes though, so you say that, but you put the effort in so that when we turn up, the beautiful cake tins on the table.
I think what's nice at the moment while we're working, a lot of people are having to work virtually. Well, they're not. They're working properly, but they're doing it through screens. Is to say, let's bring along. You have cake, you have coffee.
Yes,
we'll all have it at the same time, or let's do this over lunch, or some other way of not making it just a very dry, perfunctory, processy conversation.
And then there's the reward side. So this is not just the warming up for, okay, let's make sure we have a lovely meeting today. Let's make sure that we all understand where one another's at, because that's another part of it, isn't it? Then there's the remembering to say thank you. to one another or to reward people for great sort of contributions, or just recognition of where you're at. So that sort of sense of celebrating. And you're so let's turn it the other way. You're much better than me at saying this should be celebrated or we should have a moment and that sort of thing.
Oh, good. There is something I'm good at.
Well, and you cast your mind back to sitting on the beach in Whitstable, having a conversation
for our performance review meeting.
Yes. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Thank you. Yes, I am. Yeah. Yes, you're right. That kind of acknowledging what's been great, what's really made us feel good, what's worked, what do we need to carry forward into any other situation where we might find things really tricky again. What's our equivalent of cake and coffee or Prosecco on the beach?
And that stuff makes you feel good, doesn't it? It's not just in your body, it's in your head, but that whole sort of lighting people up by having good connections.
Yeah, yes.
So I guess what we're saying is make sure that you put some effort into getting a great connection, whatever works for you, but gets you in a good place. And I love what you were saying about the crew.
Yeah. It does. It works well. Who have you got in your life right now? And if everyone's struggling, where can you find some people who will bring a bit of lightness? And how can you be that person for them as well?
Absolutely.
You've really inspired me. It's been nice talking about this.
Oh.
And we should get some cake now.
Yes.
More of your lovely parsnip and apple cake.
Slice number 2, please.
And I'm gonna make some calls this afternoon. To some people I've not spoken to for a while.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for today.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We'd love to know what you think and any experiences that you have that you're happy to share. Please join us at noodle.space. Don't forget to subscribe, share and leave us a review. You can now follow us on Instagram at noodle_space. We'll see you next time.